Hey, now it's recording.
GoPro have recently launched their latest and greatest top flight offering, the HERO7 Black, with the headline feature being Hypersmooth. Hypersmooth builds on GoPro's already pretty good electronic stabilisation, and they're billing this as effectively a gimbal killer. However, it's not quite that simple, and more on this later. Also launched at the same time were the HERO7 Silver and the HERO7 White. There are some key and quite important differences between the three models. Being the top flight model, the Black comes with a whole host of features, including 4K 60 frames per second, Hypersmooth, up to 8 times slow-mo, live streaming, a brand new portrait mode, time warp video, the GP1 chip, Pro Tune, advanced metadata, and it's also Karma compatible. This is the option that professionals and keen amateurs will want to choose for the highest possible image quality. The Silver gets dumbed down a little with 4K 30 frames per second max resolution. No Hypersmooth, but you do get that pretty good standard stabilisation, and quite noticeably a non-removable built-in battery. And finally, the HERO7 White is similarly featured to the Silver, however the resolution maxes out at 1440p 60 frames per second. They're Gorma's non-branded shorts, Bristol South kit. Okay. Brilliant. So getting back to the Black, we've had ours for a couple of weeks now, not really long enough to give a full detailed review, but long enough to have a few initial impressions. I'll start by saying Hypersmooth is pretty legit, but it is quite dependent on the situation that you're riding in. Occasionally we get comments from you guys about the shakiness of our GoPro footage, and it's a valid concern. However, there is a valid reason why we don't use gimbals. We have a lot of staff that we send around the world, and as such we have to give them GoPros, and it's quite difficult to outfit everyone with gimbals, train them to use them effectively. So if the claims are true about Hypersmooth, the HERO7 Black should be perfect for us. One of the first times we used the camera was actually on a mountain bike shoot with 4-cross world champion Katie Curd. When we had a look at the footage after, we were incredibly pleased and actually quite surprised about how smooth the footage looked. However, this was in very good light. In less ideal conditions, the image actually really started to fall apart. We were riding around dusk and into direct sunlight, and there was a very obvious ghosting effect, especially with the rider out in front, which in this case was Joe. It's sort of just very blurry, and it could be quite distracting for a viewer. In good lighting conditions, the colours were really rich, vivid, and genuinely very pleasing to the eye. At times, skin tones did look a bit plasticky, a bit sort of smoothed over, which is a weird effect. It's not necessarily a bad thing, but it's just a very noticeable difference from previous GoPros. The audio has had a significant improvement as well.
How cold are you?
I'm very cold now. It's a pretty low-key event. The HERO7 Black gets 3 microphone processing, whereas the Silver and White only get 2 microphone processing. But around this corner, around here, it's the finish line. In use, the Black actually sounded excellent while on the move. We did a few piece-to cameras for other videos with it, and the voices are clear, and the wind reduction is actually very noticeable.
Feels like a headwind, this one. It's going to be nasty. Yeah, it's very leafy road surface as well.
It's an absolutely beautiful part of the country. I've never actually ridden around here, so quite excited. I'm off at 12:57, so firmly in the mid-pack Heroes territory. We haven't had the HERO7 Black long enough to give a definitive verdict about its performance, and maybe some of that ghosting can be fixed in a firmware update. It's worth noting that the stabilisation when the HERO5 came out wasn't brilliant, and that was vastly improved by a firmware update, so maybe there's a little bit of hope there. So all in all, the Hero 7 Black shows promise of being an absolute market killer. However, there is still room for improvement with Hypersmooth. The Hero 7 Black sells for £380, that's $400 or 430 euros. It's available now and it ships worldwide. We really hope we can get another unit in for longer term testing to really delve into the performance of this little camera. But as always, don't forget to like and subscribe, and do let us know what you think about the Hero 7 Black in the comments.